Good morning, afternoon, or evening, my dear language learning master, and welcome to episode number 8 of the Language Input Podcast, in which I'm addressing the most common questions and misconceptions around the language learning process in a realistic, honest, and fact-based way, because I really value that, I really appreciate honesty, and, I want to convey that message here as well. And today's topic is, can I learn 2 languages at the same time? Or 3 or 4 or 5 or, as many as you want. So yeah, let's go with it. Let's go right into it. Well, first of all, and as usual, I believe this question comes from our, from the traditional grammar classes that we adults are used to having or used to attending, throughout education times, education years in primary school, high school, college, academies, etc., right? And because in those classes we relied on conscious memory and conscious study in order to learn a language, it may actually seem crazy, that someone would even think about the possibility of learning 2 languages at the same time, right? Because just learning one, it's a hard process, that takes a lot of effort and, mental work or whatever you want to call it. So let alone 2, 3, or 4, right? So we think it's actually not possible to learn 2 or several languages at the same time. We think it's just a crazy idea, right? Because, we think we're going to get confused. We're not going to know whether specific words, sentences in X language or Y language. But again, that comes from the traditional grammar perspective, okay? Yeah, and certainly, if you're trying to learn a language that way, it's certainly going to be painful and hard to learn to learn 2 languages at the same time. Well, it's going to be hard to learn one, but that's not the topic. But if you're actually learning a language or languages the right way, or acquiring them the right way through comprehensible input, and all the things that I'm talking about in every episode, it doesn't matter. You can actually learn 2, 3, 4, 5 languages at the same time, because you're not consciously memorizing, like I said, and you're like I'm always saying. This is hard to explain because it's just the brain doing its thing, to put it into simple words. What I mean is, I'm always talking about the fact that I understand language learning as, or not that I understand language learning, but the key to understanding how the process works is to understand that in order to learn a language, okay, you don't need to know that manzana is the Spanish equivalent of apple, okay? But rather you need to understand that manzana, or you need to connect the sound manzana, you need to connect the sound manzana with the mental representation of an apple in your mind, all right? And how do you achieve that? By getting comprehensible input, of course. And not by consciously learning that specific word or translating it like we're used to doing, right? So with that in mind, when you're listening to a foreign language and you understand what's being said to you, you're learning the language. It's that simple, like I'm always saying. And don't tell me how, but the brain knows. The brain knows, if you're listening to Italian, Portuguese, English, or whatever. And actually, I can give you several examples of, we've all seen kids that grow up in bilingual or trilingual environments, and they acquire every single one of them. Okay, like I've talked several times about my parents having friends from France, and long story short, they have a kid, and my parents' friend is from France, and her husband is from Iran, but they live in France, and their kid, they've taught French, Farsi from Iran, and Spanish, because she speaks perfectly. She speaks Spanish perfectly, and the kid is trilingual, and he has no difficulty to to differentiate between languages. When if you talk to him in Spanish, he'll talk to you in Spanish. If you talk to him in French, he'll do the same. He'll talk to you in French. So there's nothing preventing us from learning 2, 3, 4 languages at the same time. And I myself actually continue to learn several languages every single day. And of course, when I'm saying learn languages, I mean getting exposed to the language, getting comprehensible input in the language. I obviously don't mean to consciously study the language or to memorize words in the language. No, not at all. But you probably expected that, right? So in any given day, I might get exposed to 7, 8 languages in one day. Like now, for example, I'm just watching series, and I'm watching Netflix only during the weekends. But on a given Saturday, for instance, I might watch a series in Portuguese, or a series episode in Portuguese, another one of a different series in French, another one in Italian, one more in Polish, one in Catalan as well. Then I'm listening to TPRS videos on YouTube, like YouTube TPRS videos from Russian and Chinese channels. And then I'm not really targeting English anymore, but since I'm a big fan of the NBA, I might just watch an NBA game in English, or I might just watch the highlights of a game in English, or just little videos in English of some specific topic I'm interested in, whose language is English. All right, so I don't really target English right now, but I continue to get comprehensible input in the language, right? So yeah, I don't know. And of course Spanish, but that's my native language. But I think I said like 7, 8 different languages that I might get exposed on a daily basis. Obviously in Portuguese, for instance, that I can perfectly understand series, I can get exposed to the language for 45, 50 minutes a day, or even more if I wanted to, right? Whereas in Chinese and Russian, that I'm starting from the very beginning, I'm just watching like little 10-minute videos on YouTube, of course. But still, I'm getting exposed to different languages every single day, and there's absolutely no problem with it. So yes, long story short, yes, you can actually learn 2, 3 languages at the same time with no issues whatsoever. So if you're planning, or if you were thinking about, or if you're interested in learning a couple of different languages, yeah, go ahead, But of course, do it the right way. Don't start memorizing words in both languages, because that would actually, confuse you. And you already know what I think of memorizing stuff and constantly studying rules and so on, right? So yeah, go ahead and do it. Get exposed to comprehensible input in both languages, or 3 or 4 if there are more than 2 languages that you're interested in. Because if you do it if you do it the right way, if you keep focusing on getting comprehensible input, you're learning all those languages you're getting exposed to. Okay. And well, this is it for today, guys. Sorry. And I thank you as usual for listening to this episode, for coming this far in this episode. And yeah, don't hesitate to let me know in the comment section down below what your opinion is on this topic. Whether my opinion helped you realize that you can actually learn 2 or 3 languages at the same time, when you had your doubts before listening to this, or just anything related to this topic. And of course, any other question you may have when it comes to the language learning process, feel free to go ahead and ask me, because I'll be more than happy to help you out, and you'll be giving me ideas as well for future episodes. So I'll also be really grateful for your, for your ideas, and for your help. So yeah, that's it for this episode, and I'll see you on episode number 9, my dear language learning master. And well, I wish you a good day wherever you might be, and happy language learning journey. Bye bye, my friend.